liked that Darren put up. He said, "So I've been doing this for a long, and here's the thing about rebuttals. It doesn't matter what you say; it's matter how you say it, right? How you say these rebuttals. Do you have passion in your voice? Are you driving out the emotion to your client? Because this is an emotional based sale, and it should be, and not to sound any type of way, it should be a fear based sale. Because if you do not get this policy, when you pass away, your family will be in a very bad financial situation. So you have to drive out the emotion of them wanting to do right by their family, and then also the fear of not doing right behind their family. And every single agent that's really good at closing can do both very well in a direct and polite way. So Darren wrote down, he was actually just talking. I wrote all this down. So I've been doing this for a very long time now. I've seen more families broken up over funeral costs than any other reason. You've probably seen it too, right? So if family really is the most important thing to you, then let's go ahead and take care of this right now. Now, this
For this
rebuttal
rebuttal,
here is by far one of the strongest rebuttals I've heard in the insurance industry. And it can be used when people are saying the price is too high or that they're not interested, either one.
yep.
So if Bob says the price is too high or I can't afford it, Darren would say, so, Bob, I totally understand, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've seen more families broken up over funeral costs than any other reason. You've probably seen it too, right? So if family is the most important thing to you, then let's go ahead and get this taken care of right now. And mind you, that's Darren's rebuttal, but you see how I practiced it? So now it sounds more natural to me. You can take any rebuttal that a leader gives you and practice it over and over and over. And when somebody gives you that objection and when you apply it, I mean, it's going to increase your sales 20, 30% easy. So these rebuttal lists, I know a lot of agents on here don't take them seriously, but I didn't start taking money. I didn't start making money until I got really good at the rebuttals. And if any of you guys heard me on a phone call, there's a difference between I sell and other people sell. And no offense to anybody. It's because I've taken the time to apply the rebuttals to my business and I've copied top managers over the years. Now, there's another rebuttal that Darren was using when they're saying that the price is too high or I can't afford it. And this one I haven't practiced as much, so I won't sound as good on this one. But Darren was saying, I hear you're telling me that your budget is tight. So right now, let's start prioritizing things that are important to you in your life. Would you agree that family would be number one, correct? So everything beyond that is secondary, right? By chance, are you a coffee drinker? And this is what Bob was talking. Bob loved this one. This was
I
Bob's.
love this
I
this
know
one
Bob
right
loves this
here.
one. Yeah, the Bob. This is Bob's right here. Would you agree that coffee runs between $3 to $4 a cup? So realistically, for the less than a cup of coffee a day, we can give you that peace of mind knowing that you're protecting your family with this policy.
And typically, JP, rebuttal 4 and 5 go hand in hand. So we start with 4 because if they're telling me that it's too, they can't afford it, it's just really, first thing I'm going to do. And I said, well, it's what you're telling me, your budget's tight, right? Because they're saying, I just can't afford it. And so right now, we're going to stop. So right now, so you're telling me your budget's tight. So right now, let's just start prioritizing a few things in your life. Okay, what is the most important thing to you? Would you agree it's probably your family? Because that's everything you've told me now. That's what I'm hearing. It is? Well, perfect. So would you say after family, everything else is kind of secondary to you, right? Sure. Okay. And then I got to tie in. So maybe it's coffee drinker, maybe it's something else. But almost everyone understands the price of coffee these days. It's not cheap, especially if you ever go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
So by chance, are you a coffee drinker? Like, yeah. Okay. Would you agree that coffee is about $3 to $4 a cup, especially if you've been to Starbucks, like we know it's not cheap. So realistically, for less than a cup of coffee a day, we can take care of your family. Okay. So let's just start putting things in priority and what's really the most important to you. I would rather give up a cup of coffee if I had to know that my family's taken care of. If they still come up and they say, well, yeah, but and I can hear it in their voice. If they're still not budging, then I'm going to go straight into the second one. JP, I've been doing this for a long time, or Bob, I've been doing this for a long time, brother. I'm going to tell you something. I have seen more families broken up over funerals than any other reason. Would you agree? You probably seen the same thing, haven't you, Bob?
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
guarantee you, how many people on this call today can tell me that they've experienced the same thing within families? I've seen it in my own family. They either get in there, they're arguing over who gets what at the house, or who's going to pay for what, or why did you pay this? It happens. More families are broken up over funerals than any other reason. That is a true fact. And so you're going to, and I promise when you put it back on them, they're going to think about it. And they're going to say, yeah, you're right. So then we stop and just let them think about it.
Good.
So you probably seen it too, right? So if family truly is the most important thing that we've talked about, then we're going to go ahead and take care of this right here, right now. For less than that cup of coffee, we're going to fix something. Okay. So if you got a few minutes, let's see if you qualify. And I don't even go into like, are you ready? I just tell them what we're going to do. So here in a few, so we're going to do right now. Remember that, write that down. So what we're going to do right now, remember, you tell them, they don't tell you. You don't ask them, so are you ready to take out a policy? Well, no, they're not going to be ready. You're going to tell them we're going to take out a policy. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to see if we can get you qualified. Now, what is your zip code? The reason I say that, because a lot of applications that we do, the very first thing they ask is their zip code. And so I'm already into if I'm doing Aflac or whatever it might be, I'm already into it. Whatever carrier you're going into, know what that first question is going to be. Maybe it's, so do you spell your name Darren? And I'm already going into it. So I don't have a pause time. While I'm doing all this, I've already got the application ready to go. And as soon as I say, so what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we get you qualified. Now, what is your birthday? Right? Or whatever. Don't give them a second to think twice. You're already starting the application. Guess what? Progress is everything in life insurance, right? You got to get them through the policy. And if you pause and give them a second to think, they're going to find a way out. Don't give them that second. You're the salesperson. Push through the policy. All right.
Absolutely. Tommy, I see your hand raised. Go ahead, sir. What's going on?
Hey, really quick, just want to mention this. I'm about to jump on calls here before I forget. Darren done a technique that's called permission to fire. You notice he didn't go in and say, hey, you're drinking coffee, wasting money. That's called permission to fire. The approach was, first he agreed, he isolated the objection, and then he got back on track to the script. So JP, you probably can explain that more as far as permission to fire, not just attacking people saying, hey, you drink coffee, you smoke cigarettes, you can save money. It's a way to approach that.
Yep. You don't.
Very nice.
Very good, Tommy.
So everyone on this team here, I know no one's going to really read the rebuttal list. I get it. I was a new agent at one point and I thought I knew everything. But I promise you this, if you remember this rebuttal number 4, I'm going to give you a few to remember. Okay? Just remember 3. Remember rebuttal number 4, rebuttal number 5 for the price is too high. And then remember, hold on. There's another one here.
There's another real strong one down.
Yeah. Here, hold on. Here, okay, remember this one too. I already have this taken care of. This one is also the one from Darren. So when Darren, you could do it your way. I'll just read it how we have it here, just to go with it. I already have this taken care of. I already have a policy, right? So what's your agent's name? Well, do me a favor and get out a sheet of paper and write this down. My name is Darren Wright. And from here on out, I'm going to be your insurance agent for life. Would you agree the most important agent you will ever have in your life would be your insurance agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because I will be your voice when you no longer have a voice.
Yep. Huge.
That's
My
it.
job is to make sure your family is protected after you pass away. Not only will I make sure that they get this coverage you're about to take out, but I will help your family receive the benefits from your current policy as well. Now, in order for me to be your agent, we have to take out the minimum amount of coverage from our company, which will allow. So right now, I'm going to apply for 5K, 5,000 for a 5,000 final expense plan.
Well,
And
what's
then Darren will go
5K gonna do for me?
exactly. And I'm gonna let Darren go through this because this is Darren's. But
This is
I'm gonna tell you this one. I'm gonna tell you this before we get into that. This is probably one of the most important ones off of I've already had this taken care of. That's why I put down most important.
Yep.
So Darren, let's role play this real quick. You role play it with Bob.
Okay. Hey, Bob. So, Bob just said, right. Bob, go ahead and read that. I've already got this. All right.
I've already got it I had this taken care of. I got my own policy,
Oh, nice. Bob, how long have you had that policy?
about 7 years.
7 years. What's the name of your agent, Bob?
I don't know.
Oh, dang. You don't know your life insurance agent's name?
I just know
That's
it's
okay.
with, I just know it's with Mutual of Omaha, and they take my
Gotcha.
money out of the bank.
Okay, Bob, would you agree with me that probably the most important agent, your insurance agent you're ever going to have in your lifetime would be your life insurance agent? And the reason I tell you that is because we're going to be your voice, Bob, when you no longer have a voice, right? So we're going to fight for your family after you pass away to make sure that they get all the life insurance that they've taken out. And not only what we're currently looking at, but that life insurance policy you took out 7, 8 years ago, you have to have an agent that's going to help you and help your family take care of that. Life insurance agents are the most valuable insurance agent you'll ever have. So what I want you to do right now, Bob, is get on an ink pen and you will write this down for me. We write this down?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Darren, Darren White, White.
Okay.
Okay. And then my phone number, 405 227 3751.
Wow, I got that.
Next, yep. Now, Bob,
I probably hadn't talked to my insurance agent. He probably ain't called me 3 times in the 7 years.
that's crazy. So, what's going to happen, Bob, is I am now your agent. I'll be your life insurance agent for life. But in order for my company or them to let me do that, be your agent, I've got to have an insurance policy on you, right? So, what they require me to do is take out the minimal amount of insurance that is allowable. Now, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at a $5,000 policy. And by getting that thing in place, you're going to have a life insurance agent attached to you. You're going to have a veterans advocate attached to you. We're going to help your family take care of all of your needs, and you'll never, ever have to worry about that again. Okay. So if you got a minute, we're going to, I just need your zip code. What's your zip code, Bob?
24701.
Okay, perfect. And then I go straight into the application. And I might have missed some of that. I'm just kind of role playing it. I don't have a script. I just kind of know it because I've done it so long. And I noticed I kind of didn't go exactly by script. I kind of moved it around a little bit, but I just kind of,
Darren,
yes.
stop right there. Let's do this one where it says what's 5K going to do.
Yeah. Okay. That's where we're at. So I'm going to take out the minimal amount of insurance, Bob, that's allowable. And that's going to be a $5,000 policy. Okay.
Well, what's $5,000 going to do for me?
Yeah, so $5,000 would do amazing. Let me tell you something, Bob. When you pass away, if somebody went up to your kids, Joe and Tammy, and they handed them a check and for $5,000 and said your dad, Bob, wanted to give you this gift of $5,000 to help with the funeral costs. He knew that he couldn't afford to do the whole 10 or 12,000, but he wanted to help you out with $5,000. And this is a gift from your dad. Do you think your kids would be upset with you for doing that? Or would they be thinking, wow, Dad he was a planner. What a great man he was. You tell me, what do you think, Bob?
Oh, I think I would be in tears.
Absolutely. They would be so honored that you thought enough of them to give them $5,000 during this time of crisis when they didn't know what they were going to do, but Dad helped them out with paying for $5,000. So what we're going to do right now, Bob, is that $5,000 is huge. You agree? I agree. Let's see if we can get you qualified.
That's the most powerful statement that you will ever deal with. That was my second favorite
Good.
rebuttal.
Love it. Well, these
So
are things
everyone
I've
on this
learned and picked up on my own over the years, and they just, you hear people come up with things, and you're like, okay, what am I going to say? And certain things I've just picked up on and said, well, and I just made it my own. And these are some of the things that we've done. And if I can share them with you, I'd be more than happy to, guys. So.
We were blown away the other day, weren't we, JP, when he was coming up this. He was just spitting fire.
Yeah.
JP was just, I mean,
game recognized game, as they say. And
right.
these rebuttals here were so strong, I had to tell Darren to slow down so I can write them down for the team. So realistically, every single person on this call, you guys are salesmen and saleswomen. You need to be proud of your skill set and develop your skill set and keep developing your skill set, because guess what? I've sold over $1 million at my prior company, probably closer to 2 million. And I still learned something from Darren. I still learned. And when I was hearing that, the first thing I was thinking was, oh, that sounds too good. Or the first thing I'm thinking is, how can I apply this to my business? You got to remember, this is a copycat business. This is not a business of ego at all. So everybody on the call, please, please, please take advantage of the years that Darren has spent in the business, because you're just copying what he did and you're brand new. And if you get really passionate about it and you learn how to develop these word tracks and put it into your own words, imagine how powerful you'll be. I'll give you this other rebuttal here that I heard one of my managers at the time. He was on a phone call. He was closing like 3 to 4 policies a day over the phone. And he would always tell his clients, hold on, I'm trying to see which one it is. Give me a second. No, it's not this one, but it was, well, pretty much it was this.
Okay, go ahead.
When the client would say that they're not interested, and this is for strictly telesales, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would say, hey, Darren, I totally get it, but, I know this is very important to you and your family. Otherwise you wouldn't be speaking to me for this long. You'd have already hung up the phone. So I won't oversell you. I won't show you something that you can't afford, well within your needs and your budget. So let me help you out right now and do the best behind you and your family, so that way you're covered. That's all. And when I heard him say it like that, I'm like, yeah, and that was really good, because realistically, they would have hung up if they weren't interested, right? Yeah. Darren, if you weren't interested, you would have hung up on me a long time ago.
That's right.
So if you take a step back and you look at what the client is really doing, they're just trying to make sure you're going to not show them something outside their budget. That's their 9 out of 10 times concern. Mm-hmm. They don't want to buy a policy for
quoted many times, JP. These clients, they're not even, when you call them, they've already been quoted 5, 6 times, and they get prices way above them. And guys, if you are doing that and you're pricing somebody a high price right off the bat, you're losing them. You can build up, but you can't hardly build down, right? Go down. So if it were me and you're not sure, don't overquote. Go start small and work up. If I give them a price for a $7,500 funeral expense, and they say, man, and tell me, JP and Trish, they don't do this. They do this. They'll say, well, what would 15,000 do? Oh, sweet. Yeah. They'll do that, right? So, but if you went right off the bat and you quoted them $180 policy and their budget was $90, you've already lost them. So if I quoted, if I kind of, and I know their budget when I'm talking about their finances, if their budget's 90 and I quote them 70, they're very likely to say, well, what would it be closer to $100? And then I bump it up. They already, the sale is made. As soon as they say that, I closed it already. So don't if you just remember anything for that, don't oversell, especially in the beginning. But I would go one step farther. Don't oversell ever, because that overselling, I think Bob was talking about that last week. Overselling is a big thing in this industry.
That's
You
called down closing.
down sell, just like we talked about. Go down, not up. You can always go down, but you can always go up, but going down the other thing. Go down early from the beginning and then work yourself up.
And,
All right.
Let's go ahead and go ahead, Bob. Go ahead, Bob.
and one thing that, you know, Darren, we talked about it during this time last week,
Mhm.
is an inventory sheet.
Yep.
If you do an inventory sheet on your client, you're going to get a feeling of where they're at with their finances.
Let me let's break off on that one for a minute, and so I know we have inventory sheets and we got discovery sheets and everything else, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I've done this for a long time, and I'm like JP. I've written a lot of business over my years. I'm pretty plain and simple, and when I go into a home, and I did this because I remember until a year ago, I never did telesales. I did everything in home, and I was pretty dang good in home. But you know what I did? I took a blank sheet of paper. I wish I could show this to you, but it was just
Plus sign.
it was
Plus
so
sign.
simple. Here, I'm going to show you right here. This is exactly what I did. You guys can see me. Let me get my ink pen. I took a sheet of, I'd walk into the house and I just had a blank sheet of paper. And you know what I did it on, JP? Is the
Yes, sir.
lead that I showed them the lead with all their information on it. And I'd let them see the lead. And I said, which one? And I'd lay that lead in front of them. I said, which one of you guys filled this out? Which one was the smart one that filled this out? And then I would start talking. And then I'd turn the lead over. And here's what I would do. I'd draw a line here and draw a line here. And I call it just a T sheet, right? A T. And so on this, I would put Joe here, and I'd put Betty here. Okay.
Hey, Darren, I'm just saying there's a big whiteboard behind you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sweet. That's even better, right? So I could do that. You guys see it? So,
Yeah.
Well, here then. That's even better. Dang it. I forget.
Fred is Mr. Obvious.
And yeah, sweet.
Hello, Captain.
Hey, what's funny? If you guys, JP's going to come to my office here in about another week in Oklahoma. I've got almost every corner of my wall with whiteboard. I went overboard. Remember, I do things. I don't do it halfway, right? So I thought I went and bought 4 big whiteboards and put them all over my office. But so my grandkids love it. They come over here and start just writing all over the place. So anyway, it's fun. All right. So I just do it like this. This is all I do. I don't have to know no fancy sheet. Why do you need all that? You don't. I put Joe and Betty. Right? And then I say, okay, I'm going to start off here. So I'm going to say, okay, first thing we're going to talk about, Joe, is what your health looks like. Have you had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer over the last 3 years? No. Tell me about your medication. Do you have your medications? And I don't write their medications down. I say, what are they taken for? Right? And then I find out what they're taking for. So, okay, so that medication taken for diabetes, is it type 1 or type 2? You right? Type 2, okay. Is it an oral medication or is it insulin? Right? And that's important. Okay, have you had any complication with it? No complications, all right? So, and I'm just going to write, just take my own little notes, okay? So other than that, what do you got? You got high blood pressure? How many medications do you take with your high blood pressure? 1? Perfect. That's not even an issue, okay? And that's it, okay? Betty, how about you? And I do say no medications. All right, perfect. Incredible. We're going to get you guys some incredible stuff. Okay, now I go straight. The next thing we need to talk about is, remember, I'm going to use this information and try to get you guys qualified with the best carrier. But we're going to find something that'll fit your budget. So let's talk about budget right now. Joe, what about at the end of the month, after you pay all your bills, about how much money would you guys say you have left over at the end of the month?
$1,500.
You think at the end of the month, you're going to have about $1,500 left over, okay? So, and that's both of you, right? So we'll just consider as a family here, we're going to know we got about $1,500 at the end of the month, right? That combined, both of you bills combined, okay? Okay.
That's correct.
So we're $1,500. So what we're going to look at here is we're going to find something that kind of fits into this. I like to think about 10 to 15% of that money being tied to an insurance policy. Okay, so we're going to look at, if we did 10%, it's going to be about 150, 15%, maybe 200. So we're going to look at something between the both of you for about $150 to $200 price range. Does that kind of make sense and fit in your budget? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That means probably his is going to be more closer to $90 to $100. Hers might be, 50 to 70. Together, it's going to be in that price range. But we're going to try to find something in that $200 combined range. So now I've got a budget in my mind. So whenever I'm running them quotes and I start looking at those quotes, I know what we're looking at. Now, he might say, yeah, we could probably do a little bit better in 10, 15. Why don't we try to go, why don't we look at, 250 or 3? I've been quoted about $200, a month. So what I think we can afford a little bit more, but I don't want to start high. I want to start low and work up. So that's where this is where I get my budget. So first thing I do here is I do the health. Now I do my budget. I did that on a T-sheet, just a blank sheet of paper. I don't need nothing fancy. I don't need all this detail. I just need to know health. I need to know budget. Once I get those two things right there figured out, I've already talked prior to this about beneficiaries and who their family is. But so I probably have written it down. But down here is a good place to put down. Write down their name. So Bob, you said you had kids and your kids were gonna. What were your kids' name again?
Samantha and Tiffany.
Sweet. How old is Samantha and Tiffany?
Well, Samantha is 38 and Tiffany's 36.
Nice. You have any grandkids?
About 8 grandkids.
8 grandkids. Which one? How many does Samantha have?
She don't have none.
Okay, so you got them through Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay. Incredible. Love it. All right. So, Bob, man, I know I've got 2 grandbabies myself, and they are the light of my world. I promise you. If I knew grandkids were so much fun, I would have had those first. And they're a blessing. So, all right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure we take care of Samantha and Tiffany and all those grandkids. Okay. We know what your budget is and we know your health conditions. I'm going to start shopping right now, and we're going to find a carrier that makes the most sense, that fits your budget and fits your medical conditions. Okay. So if you got a few minutes, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I just do it on a T-sheet, a white sheet of paper, boom, boom, and you just write it in, and it's that simple. You can go get you a fancy sheet if you want to be Mr. Fancy. I've never been Mr. Fancy. You can imagine my writing there. I'm plain, simple, and all about how quick can I get into the application.
And
Yeah.
it also gives you an idea what company you're going to roll with.
I get that from right here, guys. This is where I come up with that, right? And then the budget, kind of, but mainly when you get the medical information, you kind of know which carrier you're going to be going with.
So let's go. Yeah, I think it is, Darren. I mean, what do you guys think?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Let's open it up to questions. Sean said that he had a question. Go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Good
You
morning,
can unmute.
everybody. How are you?
Good morning.
Hey,
Sorry,
Sean.
sorry for the no camera. I just switched to a MacBook Air after, 30 decades of using Windows, so I haven't quite figured this out yet. This is for educational purposes only, and if it helps somebody else, great. But I'm just curious. You guys are talking a lot about, what they can afford, and you're presenting options. Obviously, there's an upsell potential there. When you're doing a sheet regarding what their current expenses and income are, but after verifying, the first question is, everybody says it's what do you have for insurance? Well, if you've got none, you need some. If you've got something, you could use something better. The industry changes just like cars do. But my second question is, what do you think you can contribute to, protecting your families and potentially, sorry for the background noise. What do you think you can contribute to protecting your family, for that day that, your birth certificate expires, as well as potentially a tax-free retirement? Is it $20 a week? Is it $25 a week? And I always break it down to weeks because most people get paid weekly. And it sounds a whole lot, more passive to me than to say, hey, can you do $100 a month or $150 a month? I mean, that sounds like a weak phone bill or a cable bill. But am I the only person am I missing something by not asking?
No, you do. So we didn't go into workflow, Sean, or word flow about all that. I just try to be very generic just now. That wasn't, so if I were spending time with that client, you would have heard me do all that stuff, building all of that stuff. That wasn't the point of what I was trying to do. I was just trying to go over what a T-chart looks like.
Okay.
No, that was not me doing a sell by no means. When you really there'll be a day, JP, that we probably need to do a training from beginning to end of what it really looks like. But I tell you where you hear that, Sean, if you go to our live dials every day, you can hear it be done every day. You'll hear JP, Tommy closing, and that you'll hear how they're building the, finding out what that budget looks like and how you're going to pay for that budget and all of the in between that goes there. I didn't try to spend a lot of time on that. I just wanted you guys to see what a T-chart looks like. But
yeah, no, I appreciate
it's
that.
a lot more in depth you would go into this than what we just did.
We're just making it very generic, and yeah, Darren nailed it on the head. I'll tell you this: if you jump on live dials, right, and if you hear Tommy close, you hear me close, or whatever, you'll see me go. That's why I share my screen, because I'm very transparent. I want you guys to see that I bought the lead. It was on my Excel spreadsheet. I called that lead, and I sold it right then and there. So you'll see every process of the call. And the most important process of any call is your intro and your close. How you sound, and then how you close. So like even the policy I wrote yesterday, there's always a recap. And I like to do, hey, Darren, let's go ahead and do a recap of what we just done here. So once again, my name is Jean-Pierre. I want you to save me in your phone, excuse me. And then your policy is with Aflac, okay? And it's for 20,000 and you're paying $120 a month. Go ahead and write that down. So I have them do a recap of everything that we've done. But realistically, everyone's sales process is different. But I'll tell you this, if you pay very close attention to how you sound in the beginning, and you pay very close attention to how you close at the end, everything should fall into place. Go ahead, Fred. I know you had a comment to make.
No, I was just gonna say is like for Sean is like I think that's the right thought process, right?
Yep.
I mean, it is. I mean, yeah.
Thanks.
So,
I mean, like I said, it just made sense to me to figure out, again, what are you willing to commit, to participate in this for this benefit for your family, and again for potential tax-free retirement, is this an amount? Is this an amount? And and a lot of people will say, oh, I could easily do that. Well, then I know we can go a little higher. If they say, that's doable,
absolutely.
then I've already got them to say yes to whatever.
Yeah,
When you jump on those live dials, we'll be able to hear that as well too. But you'll hear it. It's a good experience, but it really is.
Oh, yeah, you'll hear people like Sean on there. You guys will take notes. We get an experienced seller that it sounds like Sean's been doing it for a bit. And you'll be able to hear people like Sean, and you'll take notes. You'll say, sweet, I like the way he said that. Take notes of it and use it. And JP, a great example. Heard some the other day. I'm going to start using that. And no two scripts are always going to be the same. And no two clients will ever be the same. And sometimes you'll pick up on stuff. One of the things I like to always do, and I tell my agents to always do this, is say, what do you have that acts like insurance, right? That maybe if you don't have life insurance, but what do you have that acts like insurance? Maybe they have 401ks or IRAs or other money set aside. Well, then at the end of this, after you close your life insurance, you're going to go back and circle back around. And then you're going to say, do you remember earlier when you said you had money in that 401k? how do you feel whenever you look at that every day and maybe you're losing money lately, that it's tough, isn't it? And then you work into maybe giving them an opportunity to look at an annuity product and a fixed indexed annuity, how we can keep you from ever having to worry about, those sleepless nights again. So, thanks, Sean.